Welcome to Inside Games Daily, the only gaming news show brave enough to not defame Bobby Kotick. We've never done that.
Yeah, we can say in all manner of ways that maybe the man is not to our personal taste, and maybe as business operators and owners ourselves, we're not a fan of his tactics. But defame, never once, Bruce. Never, ever. Not that brave.
All right. Former Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick has been suing gaming journos, people you probably read, over news articles accusing him of workplace harassment and discrimination.
Jeez, I can just imagine the internal turmoil in some ultra gamer's head of like, well, it couldn't be Dark Souls, but now Bobby Kotick is suing them. So which one, whose side am I on here? It's a tough one out there, but we'll lay out the news for you and then you can decide, like proper journalists.
All right, so Courthouse News reported last week the former Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick filed a defamation lawsuit against GO Media. Lawrence, what was it about?
This lawsuit is in regards to two specific articles. There's one on Kotaku and the other one's on Gizmodo. Both are about Kotick's interest in acquiring TikTok. Kotick apparently took exception to each article mentioning his legal woes at Activision Blizzard.
All right, so here's a quote from Bobby Kotick's complaint, courtesy of Courthouse News. Quote, neither article had anything to do with Activision. Both were about rumors that Kotick was interested in buying TikTok. Yet, Kotaku and Gizmodo went out of their way to include withdrawn, false allegations relating to workplace issues which GO Media knew had been conclusively disproven by numerous investigations, purely for the malicious purposes of causing further harm to Kotick.
Conclusively disproven is a bit far, given that it was a settlement, but lawyer's gonna lawyer. Let's go on with the story. The lawsuit in question here is, of course, the one between Activision Blizzard and the California Civil Rights Department. That was one of two very big lawsuits Activision Blizzard was facing down. So the California Civil Rights Department accused Activision Blizzard of systemically suppressing the pay and careers of women at the company.
Yeah, Activision Blizzard settled that suit in late 2023 for $54 million. Now, legally speaking, the settlement states that, quote, no court or any independent investigation has substantiated any allegations of systemic sexual harassment, and that none of the company's executives, quote, ignored, condoned, or tolerated a culture of systemic harassment, retaliation, or discrimination.
That's not exactly conclusively disproven, but whatever. Just fun lawyer stuff. Anyway, according to the complaint, Kotick contacted GO Media multiple times asking for corrections to those articles. And because those corrections didn't come or not to Kotick's satisfaction, Kotick is now seeking damages to be determined at trial.
Okay, some other fun Kotick bits. Nothing's fun about this. According to Courthouse News, Kotick was on a podcast hosted by venture capital firm Kleiner Perkins about a month before filing this suit.
Yeah, in that podcast, he called the multiple lawsuits against Activision Blizzard, quote, fake lawsuits, and said the 2021 petition with over 1,800 signatures calling for his resignation was also fake.
He also accused the Communications Workers of America union of intentionally singling out Activision Blizzard in an effort to drive up unionization support. He said, quote, they came up with this plan, hired a PR firm, and then they started attacking our company. That's what Bobby Kotick said. The Communications Workers of America said those allegations are false in a statement to Rock, Paper, Shotgun.
How about this, Bruce? How about it? So you don't, under any circumstances, got to hand it to Bobby Kotick, and I'm not going to ask you to do that. What I will point out is, from my vast amount of experience on the other side of this, from the internet keyboard warrior side, is that a lot of people get really, really comfortable behind a keyboard. And that's that's part of my joy in describing us as the bravest games journalists, because honestly, there's not a whole lot that's really all that brave about sitting behind a webcam and telling everyone to hate the richest person on the planet. Well, one of them anyway. That said, you still got to mind your P's and Q's if you're a reporter. It's easy, especially being internet cockroaches like we are, to say that like, well, he just got his feelings hurt, so he's suing. I have witnessed and heard about secondhand, for whatever that's worth, that big deals can go sideways because of big headlines, powerfully written headlines, and they were getting pretty out there by the end of 2020, 2021. That was the kind of the downswing of activist games blogging, because a lot of those outlets laid everyone off. I'm not saying that the two are connected, and I don't mean to make light of it. It sucks because a lot of good writers lost a lot of good income, but people are getting real loose is my point. So it doesn't surprise me that if theoretically Kotick was in the running for some kind of deal with TikTok and there was a disruption because somebody Googled his name, and saw disgraced CEO Bobby Kotick, and that caused them to panic or go with someone else. If he's got record of that, if he has proof that he lost out on the TikTok deal, or that these headlines were materially changing that offer or his likelihood to get it, you might actually have a case. Like, he might have lost out on money directly because of that reporting. And he does kind of have a bit of a point that if you're going to bring up other things that aren't necessarily connected, if it is just character information, you need to be fair about it. Yeah, I don't know. I've got even more to say, but I'm gonna stuff it up for now, Bruce. What do you think about this whole situation? Whether
or not people like it, Lawrence is right. And there's one thing I learned about being on the other side of one of these lawsuits. I've talked about this a couple of times before here on Inside Games, but I sued Comcast and NBC Universal many years ago for them not paying us for our work. And they settled out of court. Now, generally a settlement, when it settles out of court, they don't admit wrongdoing. They just give you money. And I believe my settlement did not have any wrongdoing, didn't say we're sorry or any of that stuff. And I think it's kind of the same here with Bobby Kotick's lawsuits. I didn't go looking and I didn't go digging around for an apology in those settlements, but when all of those organizations sued Activision Blizzard and then sort of alleged that Bobby Kotick and a bunch of other people did a bunch of other things, and then they settled out of court on that, then everyone gets paid, but I don't think anybody said sorry. I don't think Bobby Kotick came out and said, "You're right, I did all those things. Here's the money," because it would have gone to court. They would have said, "No, we're going to take this to court, and you're going to prove that I did this." So there were no apologies. So what I'm getting at there is no one has actually done any wrongdoing. So the more that outside of these settlements, the more that journalists say, "Well, Bobby Kotick did this, and Bobby Kotick did that," we don't know that. And the courts didn't prove it. So it does become defamation at that point. So you just got to be really, really careful. And I know, like, we were pretty fast and loose about the Bobby Kotick reporting way back. I mean, when those were hitting, and that was a big deal. I'm sure we were saying fire Bobby Kotick and stuff like that. But after the fact, if we had still said Bobby Kotick did these things, then we would be defaming him. We didn't do that. So that's why everyone's just got to be careful here. And Kotick is an unlimited money machine. So he can buy as many lawyers as he wants and go forever. And I don't know that Gizmodo or Kotaku can.
Probably settle this as well. And I think in Kotick going on the podcast, pursuing this lawsuit, I think he's just trying to spruce up his image so that he can get another business venture going. Because yeah, he's got a bit of a dark cloud following him, and again, if you have venture capitalists that don't follow games media and they just Google a name and see some negative headlines, it's going to give them a sour taste. So I think he's just trying to scrub his business history a little bit so that he can get in the running for some more stuff. And that sucks. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but it's not illegal. And that's kind of where a lot of this stuff ends. And just to make today's news extra weird, this is super bizarro. Remember the day before? Remember that game literally everyone called a scam because it sure did seem like it?
Yeah, I played it.
Well, the developers of that game, Fantastic, are suing a Russian gaming outlet, Yakutia.info, for calling the game a scam, or at least the Russian equivalent of a scam. So that's bizarre. Apparently, they'd been reached out to by the developers, Fantastic, to change the wording of the article, so they did, but apparently that wasn't enough. So now they're getting sued in Russia for defamation.
Wow.
By the, yeah. So I guess it's open season on games journalists, Bruce. It's about to get a lot more brave in our line of work.
Hey, speaking of brave, Inside Games is on your side. Clap, clap, clap. The Steam Spring Sales last until March 20th at 10 a.m. Pacific, so you've only got like 3 more days. Plenty of time to cash in that crypto and get something with real value. Video games they can have their licenses revoked at any time.
That's right. Or get delisted. Authentication servers go off. That's going to last until doomsday, baby. But hey, you buy those Steam games, you get those Steam points, you get that glowing Steam avatar frame that you've been looking for, and that's going to last forever. It's going to last until we're on Gabe Newell number 5, after he's been recloned in the Valve vats.
You mentioned that the deals aren't as good as they normally are, because you're right. They're not. I don't know why.
Yeah, they're kind of not. I'm kind of used to getting a 6-month-old game for $1, but it's not really like that anymore.
I think it's inflation. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pretty sure it's inflation and maybe the coming recession if that's going to happen. Hey, we also have a special patron that supports our Inside Games Patreon because we have a Patreon. They support this every month, and they somehow have not been sued by Bobby Kotick, which is surprising because I feel like that might happen. Jared Watkins.
Jared, what? Nope, just got word. Yep, there it is. Sorry, Jared. You'll get the papers soon.